Hello everyone, I'm Kimberly and I am a knitter and an artist, and in today's video I wanted to share with you the differences between different types of knitting needles. So the first type is the straight needle, which is just like, it looks like this. Okay. This is like the typical knitting needle that you're like imagining. Um, this is probably, well, this is what I first was introduced to knitting with. Not these in particular, but I've used some like aluminum needles. But they come in different materials. They have plastic ones, there are wooden ones, bamboo, different kinds of metals and stuff. And then the next one is a circular needle. Let me show you the best way I can show this to you. There you go. So these have a knitting needle on one end and another, and they're connected by a cord or a tube, depending on what you're using. This, you can do pretty much everything that you can do on straights with these, except this one you can do much longer projects, like something like a shawl or a scarf that's worked horizontally. You can use circular needles. And then you have DPNs, also known as, well, it stands for double pointed needles. I have a set right here. There's actually a fifth one. I've only seen these come in sets of 5. This can do some of the things that a circular needle can do, but these are more convenient for smaller projects. Like if you're at a point of your, like let's say you're making a hat, for example. You start with the circular needles, and then once you get to the top of the hat where it's very, very small and your circular needles are a little too large to work those stitches, that's when you would switch over to double pointed needles like these. So let me just show you what they look like. So double pointed needles look like this. They have a point on both sides of the needle. So common uses for double pointed needles, that would be sock making, hat making, gloves, anything that's really, really small. You can use double pointed needles. You can use double pointed needles for that. Circulars, like I said, you can do very large things depending on the length of your circulars. I can't really show you how big this one is, but there you go. It's about that big. Circulars come in a variety of sizes. They vary in both the needle size, which is, that's the needle, and they also vary in the length of how long the circular is. I think I've seen as much as like 60 inches. So that would be for something really large, like, I don't know, maybe a blanket or something. And they even have little small ones too, which I think, I haven't used those, but I believe they'd be used in a similar way that you would use double pointed needles. And the straights, they're going to be used for a lot of the I guess, not huge, but not super tiny projects. So, like your sweaters, scarves, also things that aren't in the round. Uh, in the round, you would have to use circular needles. Each one of these has like their kind of pros and cons, I think, in my opinion. So, pros of the straight needles are like they're great if you're working like for instance, if you're making a sweater or a jacket, if you're making the pieces, meaning like you're going to have like your front piece, like your front right piece, your front left piece, your back, instead of making uh, everything in one. Um, how can I? Okay, so making everything in one, it would be basically, um, if you've heard of top down sweaters, they're starting from the top. You make the neck, and then your shoulders, and then your arms, and your torso, and all it's all knitted at the same time. Like there's no sewing involved. So when you're knitting in pieces, you're just knitting up your different things, like your first sleeve, second sleeve, front and back, things like that, and then you sew everything together. I like to sew in I keep wanting to say sew, but I mean knit. I like to knit in pieces because I do a lot of knitting on the go, and it the larger a project gets, the more you have to carry around with you, and the more cumbersome it can be when you're traveling around. Okay, so that's the pro for the straights, is that you can work in pieces. Con of the straights, uh, depending on the size. So these are like kind of long. Um, like I said, I take them on the go. If I'm on a train, I have to be aware of, you know, if make sure that my needles are not like poking somebody sitting next to me. That hasn't happened, so far so good. Um, but that's really like the only con. And you can't make like something that's in the round with these. Okay. Circulars. Pro, these are very, very comfortable when I'm outside. Like portability, I think this gets an A plus. The round shape keeps my work right in front of me. I don't have to worry about poking anybody or anything like that. That is a major plus of the circular needles. Con of the circular needles, I don't like that every project that I've come across that requires circular needles, I may not have the right size or the right length. There's so many different sizes. Like if you're like, for example, with the straights, it's like you can have every needle of every size, and this size or even a even smaller one, a little bit smaller, it's gonna work for every project that uh, requires straights. Whereas the circular, if you're working on something that's much smaller, it can be a little awkward because this is like flapping out here. I don't know if you can, yeah, I'm trying to get in this shot. Okay. Flapping up here. Or if you're making, I don't know, it just seems like there's like a lot of different needles, you know, different lengths. Like they come in like 16, 24 inch, 32, 36, 40, you know, and more. That's not even all of them. So you really have to like look at the project, the pattern, and see what needles are they suggesting, like what length of the circular do you have it, do you want to really do this project, because then you have to purchase that circular needle. So that's the only thing I don't like about that. Double pointed needles, a pro, I mean, they're all right. They're okay. Yeah, but the thing about them is that your work can slip off of them. So that's the con. The pro, I guess the pro would be the size of double pointed needles. I don't know. I think they only come in like two sizes, like this size and I think a little bit bigger. And maybe there's a smaller one, but like the size is good. I like that the double pointed needles come in this size. There are limitations with this given the double pointedness. You can't do everything on these, but you need them for certain things, especially if you don't have like a bunch of circular needles. Another thing about this, actually, another pro about double pointed needles is that, in my experience, they are pretty accessible, like to purchase, and they're not too expensive. I mean, I don't know what your budget is, but like I have seen double pointed needles in like, you know, any store that has like crafts, whereas like circular needles, I feel like they're a little harder to get in person. So yeah, that's it. Those are the 3 types of knitting needles. You have the straights, the double pointed needles, and the circular needles. I think if you are starting out, I think I would recommend starting with the straight needles first, because like the double pointed needles, those are the most accessible needles. Like if you're getting started with knitting, those are the easiest to find. You can get this from any store that sells crafting supplies. Yeah, so start with that, and then once you see some projects that require a circular needle, get a few, maybe get like if there's like a yarn weight that you find yourself using often, like say a medium, get a few circular needles and like a size 7, 8, or 9, for example. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.